You smell that? That's the smell of us having a joint discussion.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Joint Discussions Pod. I am a co-host here to my better half, James Mummert. I'm Lauren Wild.
You don't get to say better half like that.
I do. I get to say what I want.
Well, then I'm going to say what I want because I think you're my better half.
Aww.
So at least we have two better halves and two halves. So that still makes us whole, I think. That's how that works.
True Libra content right here. Especially as we enter Libra season.
We are in Libra season. We're in the Libra loft. And this is Joint Discussions. We're here for episode 7. I can't believe it's already been 7 episodes.
I know, right? Like, we're almost at 8 weeks. That's committed.
Well, yeah, we're at 7. So it's interesting that you say we're almost at 8. You are so stoned. Yeah, we are almost at 8 because we're at 7. This is episode 7, meaning that we've had 7 weeks on air. And
8 is an important number to me. Sorry.
Well, join us next week. Don't know what we're even talking about yet, but it's going to be great because it's the number 8, episode 8. All right, we're getting off tangent already, but I do have a question because at this point, we are both feeling our joint-ish discussion.
Yes.
You know.
What do I got going on right now?
Yeah, what do you got going on right now?
I have an Old Faithful, like we talked about in last episode, called a Breeze. It's like this social tonic, and it just does the trick, man. It does, and it doesn't make me like super chill like my other one. It definitely makes me more giggly, which I like.
More giggly, slightly more on edge than chill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I've got a question for you as you sip your brev.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about some things that were like mildly annoying pet peeves.
Oh, okay, let's hear them.
Well, I would like you to think of some as well, but
okay.
I did actually think of a few.
Okay.
And remember, I think it's important to distinguish that this is a mildly annoying pet peeve.
Okay.
One that you're just like, really? But you don't let it like ruin your day. You don't like need to go on a tangent outside of a podcast where you've had marijuana influence you and you're in this spacey side of things. So this one doesn't count, but all right, mildly annoying pet peeves. People turning too slow in a turn lane, like at a big intersection.
Oh yeah.
Where, it's not like they were looking at their phone and then gun it. It's like maybe they just let off the brake and thought that not needing to apply the gas would cruise the car, but they're going at like 1 to 4 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I have a similar one, and that is like when people slow way down to turn in like a neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
I call that like the slow cooker turn, where they're like they've got like a crock pot in the back seat that they're trying not to spill, so they're slowing like all the way down so it doesn't spill.
It's like the anti-speed turn that I like to do, like where I can't let it go below 30 miles an hour or else the bus will explode.
Oh, I'm very aware. I ride as a passenger quite often.
The slow turn person is also cousins with the turns my turn signal on for a mile before I actually turn person.
Yeah.
All right, another pet peeve that I have, and this one is maybe flirting on almost like moderately to severely to me. People who still hold the door when I'm holding the door for you.
Oh my gosh.
It is like the ultimate sign of like disrespect to the person opening the door. Why would I open the door if you're going to open it for yourself? Why are you holding the door like I'm going to like step away and be like laugh at you like, oh, you thought I was going to hold the door, motherfucker.
You might have abandonment issues.
Yeah, maybe they do. The trying to be sneaky with my vape in indoor situations person. It's like one where they like kind of go into the shirt and then they like kind of blow it down in the shirt and then like the smoke still comes way out
and it
everywhere.
Smells like fucking cotton candy or some shit.
Cotton candy or grape or some sort of fruity flavor. And there's just varying levels of thickness of cloud of smoke too, but they're always so obvious, and they're just like, and then some people just don't care. But
That's funny.
all right, I got two more for you.
Okay.
People who guy me or champ
Yeah.
or sport or pal or friend. Mm-hmm. How about just a like common ass sir? Like, how you doing, sir? Like in a customer, I would do the same thing unless
the
you're wearing a
very
name tag.
dominant part of you that wants to be called sir, but I won't get into that right now.
Okay, if they knew my name, James would work, but it's common courtesy. Or Mister would even work, I guess. Like, that is a
Hey,
salutation. Right. But it's only mildly annoying. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, are they doing this to like...
See, that lines up with one of my like mid-level annoyances when people call me like sweetheart or like mama.
Like, okay, sweetheart is in like a cheery tone or like a condescending tone?
No,
like
like
oh,
a
sweetheart.
sweet, like when I like go and order something and they'll be like, "Hey, sweetheart, what can I get you?"
Okay.
And I'm like,
darling.
Ew, don't acknowledge me like that. I'm not a fucking Snow White Barbie princess. Like,
Okay, so that's your champ or pal. That
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, my final one is that there's no universally accepted spice rating. Like I was at the grocery today, and people just slap spicy on anything.
yeah.
And many times it's a hit that misses. It's like you're playing Battleship, right? And you're like, E4. And it's just a white peg after white peg after white peg because you're missing all the time. They missed the mark on spice. I know spice is subjective. That's why I want a universally accepted scale, at least maybe even regionally. That way, when somebody says spicy, I can like, oh, cool. There's nothing like when someone says, oh, yeah, I made this recipe. It's kind of spicy. And then there's nothing there. And you're like, oh, left me a little sad.
Yeah. Wanting more. I think that I have a similar one, and that is like the potency of your THC drink. Like one is like microdose, and you know the end of the scale is like 100 milligrams, like total space rocket. So like in the world of psychedelics, there is kind of like a generalized scale that's like a microdose, and you know you may see some forms. And then it's like, you know, what they call the shaman's dose, where you don't know how you're going to come back or if you're going to come back.
Right. And a lot of times they get away with that by like doing servings. Like this 12-ounce beverage is 6 servings, you know, and then that's how they give the THC per like serving because that's what they market.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. But I think that pet peeve kind of like segues us into what we want to kind of talk a little bit about tonight. You know, I was grocery shopping during the day.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, like, my pet peeves are all domestic related. They're like when somebody doesn't take the cat litter scoop and like put it back where it belongs.
Oh, I got some pet peeves after these first couple of weeks of being stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. Let's get into that because it's juicy. And just a forewarning, there's all kinds of discussions we decided to save to have here just so that it would feel very real and transparent to you guys.
Well, and we're really having them for the first honest, real time right now.
Yeah.
And that's part of, there's some things that we obviously want to talk about before we get into episodes, but there's other things that we feel in a safe and trusting space between us to kind of work through in the first time, knowing that some of these emotions are going to maybe be heard for the first time, are going to be a little bit raw perhaps, but in a space that we know is loving and trusting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm bracing myself, but I know we can work through anything and everything together.
Yeah, I don't know what you're bracing yourself for. That's the interesting thing.
Because I don't know what it is, and I have an anxious attachment. I want to know everything. That's why I became a psychic.
Well, then you know what I'm about to say.
Doesn't work like that.
I know.
Go ahead. Roll it out, baby. Roll it out. I'm sure they're dying to hear.
No, I think that we should kind of just quickly make sure everybody is on the same page who's listening to this.
Speed.
You may be listening for the first time. We have been going through quite the summer of merging families moving households, not once, but twice, into a more permanent digs. And most recently, making quite a large decision in the way that our family structure and responsibilities within the family between the adults is kind of handled for a period of time that we've discussed.
Yeah. Like James said, we've been merging and dealing largely with what happens when we merge. And that's actually why we decided to start this podcast and share, because we feel like these are real conversations that you will really have if you choose to merge and be conscious partners that want to stay connected and feel a sense of like reciprocity and equality between them.
And we just so happen to be merging a larger family, maybe I would say on the larger side for sure.
Yeah.
6 kids, 3 from both of us in our prior relationships.
2 with special needs.
2 with special needs, and all 6 with various needs that are going through a lot of change as prepubescent teenagers and teenage boys, all of them boys. So it's been certifiably insane around here, but we have made some changes to kind of address some pressing needs in our shared vision and alignment for where we want to be going forward.
Yeah, so just some background. James and I, our working agreement is knowing that I technically make more money.
You don't technically make more money. Why do you got to say technically there?
Oh, see, that's like my own trying to like shelter you from the thing.
Don't shelter me. This is a good test for me to see if I've been looking and reflecting on myself like I think I have been. So I would invite, I don't know if you want the same. I'm not attempting. I'm just saying, I think just say what you say. Don't try to sugarcoat it.
Okay. Yeah.
You do make more money than me. You make significantly more money than me. And I would rather let you harness that, and we discuss this kind of, than to have me making some money and still working at minimum the same amount of hours as you physically away for kind of chump change, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, no, that is the exact truth, is that you were working a job that was paying you like less for 40 hours than I make in a week. And I felt like it was really important, because at the center of our shared vision is a family that is deeply rooted in our values. And then one of those big values is presence. If you guys have been listening, we've been dealing with the issues of removing screens and screen dependence and addiction, and all the emotions that have been coming up to the surface for all of them in their own ways. And we actually talked about this in the last episode, which is like none of them have like an across the board way of talking to them and like meeting their needs or validating them. Like they're all so uniquely different that it was, and it is, we're still working through it, you know, for listeners. We're only 3 weeks into this transition, that we knew somebody had to be here to ground them and help them, because they were just not able to move through their own emotions by themselves.
It was part grounding the children, giving more dedicated space to routine. Mm-hmm. It was also just household management as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good thing to recognize that in 2025 still, like it's been for, God, years and years and years and forever, that mom has been the one that's been looked to for needs around the house.
Yeah.
For centuries.
Yeah.
The mother has been that figure that has done that. And in this situation where we're at, we've actively made the conscious choice, and we're not pioneers, obviously. Like there's plenty of stay-at-home dads, people who identify as him, you know, like, or people that are used to, I guess maybe is the more appropriate, bigger conversation, is people that were used to being a head of a household, even maybe income-wise. I come from my prior relationships and really kind of my entire life As an adult man, being the breadwinner, if you want to say, or the one that's earned significantly more, or when the choice came to need somebody to stay at home, it was never going to be my job.
Yeah.
And now, for the first time in my life, that's the exact case.
Yeah. Just to be honest with you guys, like it's led to some fights. We've had some actual real disagreements that we've had to take, some time to reflect before we could come back around and say sorry and try to get back on the same page. Like it's been a lot of change and there's been some turbulence because of that change. And a great example would be that I pick up one of our kids in the middle of the workday because James goes and drives 30 minutes south to pick up our other kids. Right now is still cutting into my 9 to 5, and I know that I pick him up and I just basically go straight back into my office and finish my workday. Well, this child, he has a Leo moon, by the way, really, really needs a check-in. Like he needs to be talked to. He needs to like share what happened in his day. He needs to be parented. And his mom, your ex-wife, she worked from home and largely as a caregiver for our youngest son. And so she was there and is present and able to just talk and kind of do things like that. Whereas my work is like so focused and I'm in meetings and conversations. And so what happened is that when I picked up this kid, I was still on a meeting and the meeting was live and I didn't get to talk to him when I picked him up. When I dropped him off, I went right back into my office and shortly after I heard scratching at my door and I looked and our son was like bawling and crying and literally scratching at the door because he wanted to talk to me. He wanted my attention. So I had to text you and be like, I need you to call him. I'm in the middle of a meeting. Long story short, we worked through the things, but at the end, I spent a lot of time being upset that night and crying. It actually still makes me want to cry right now, where I'm not used to not being able to be that nurturer that like drops things to just like show up. But the decision that we made was largely to help me consolidate my focus and time into a 9 to 5 structure to make enough money for our entire family.
That situation that happened with our son ultimately ended up being about school test grade related. But I just think, like you said, he did not have an opportunity to even talk about that. And so there was an anxiety building up in him and a sadness and a frustration building up in him about getting, and I kid you not, a B on a math test.
Yeah.
But he does very well in school, like several of our kids do. When I called him, like you had texted, that's what I got was I got a bad grade on my test.
Yeah.
And that is just such a great example, like you said, how all 5 of the kids that live with us primarily have different situations and different styles and different ways that these emotional outbursts of feelings happens. On top of the ongoing desire and mission we have to get less screen time on our kids and dealing with those issues and those, once we're off screens, here come the emotions.
Yeah.
We're also dealing with, and we've kind of started to touch on it in the last episode or two, because recently one of our other sons has gotten into a relationship, has a girlfriend now.
Yep.
And that's spilled over from school to, amusement park trips, to church on Wednesday, to when he goes to his brother's football games, to sometimes coming over to our house or going over to her house to campfire. It's a lot.
There's a lot.
We are finding ourselves needing to have real conversations and have a line to stand on when it comes to scheduling things.
Yeah.
Both from a logistical perspective, being a house of 7/8, but from a perspective of our 12-year-old not being obsessive behavior of something where it's starting to cause grades to suffer.
Yeah.
And there are some other behavioral things that are tied into poor reactions to what he wanted when we say no to something.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot.
Yeah. And that one particular child, I have found that true, archetypal father figure of being the kind of alpha dominant energy triggers him into his own challenging energy. And I have found that the most successful way to work with that child is actually to down regulate them with a very soft and nurturing tone of like, hey, buddy, what's going on? Like he needs that shift and an inflect that is more nurturing to get to him than a challenging one.
And God, can I just insert this part here where I should be taking notes on that? I know that's the answer, so I shouldn't feel like I need to take notes, but God, I try the alpha thing way too often because that's my natural tendency.
It's part of who you are, honey. You have Capricorn moon.
You're so right. He hears that challenge and he wants to challenge. It reminds me of me at that age too.
He is your clone.
Absolutely.
Period. But yeah.
Absolutely. But it's another situation. Like you have now went over a couple of our kids and how you find approaching and how their reactions tend to go.
Yeah. We've
got another one who has a routine, what we call meltdown.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Can't even I was going to even try to give a little bit more credit, say maybe it's averaging a half, but no, it's definitely one.
No, it's daily. Yeah. And I think that he may actually need a more traditionally structured approach to get through this versus being super emotional, because I feel like he manipulates my emotions to get what he wants. And you may actually have the answer that I don't.
And I'm not sure that I do, because this particular one lies a lot when it comes to tasks. It's such a fast response when the question is asked that it's on autopilot.
Yeah.
And some of those lies have been caught. I mean, funny story. I think it's funny at this point. It's still frustrating, but a week or two ago, we were having a family dinner, and I have started since I've been home, because I remember cooking on the Blackstone with one of our other kids. We made this whole meal for the family, and we have a pretty routine dinner time. We like to eat at 6:00 during school weeks, and actually at 6 p.m. that's when screens get turned off.
Yeah,
where we enter also restrictive airspace when it comes to our screen time. But wouldn't you know that a couple of our kids had to take a shit?
Big quotation marks around that.
And this was at about 5:55.
Yeah.
Was when the fans went on. Now, we have a few bathrooms, and so one kid was in the basement bathroom. Another kid bypassed the main floor side little half bath and went straight upstairs away from the kitchen and eating space to the boys' shared bathroom. 6:00 comes. Hey, somebody go tell your brothers that it's dinner time. We're ready. Okay. 6:15. I go to the door and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, I'm going to the restroom. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I think you need to wrap it up. I did this to both doors. And then we get into lively conversation that night. Long story, fairly less long. It was 6:40 before these kids came out.
Yeah, 40 minutes. 45 minutes, actually.
And wouldn't you know, these little buttholes were not doing anything with their butthole, but actually playing this mobile game that had this thing at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah, the brain rot
And
thing.
that's one of the lies that I caught this kid in, and one of our other sons. And it's
yeah, they had a whole strategy. And I'm so innocent when it comes to their lies and strategies. And that is part of that thing where you have that I don't.
Right. And this is where I think me being at the house is going to be a change, because I'm very observant of things. That was part of my career going back into the military, very detailed, look at an image and understand what has changed, what's not there.
Yeah, you were in intelligence. You literally observed and gathered facts for strategy.
I observe and gather constantly, which sometimes is self-destructive, because
that's your Mercury and Scorpio.
I can have a tendency to keep score sometimes.
Yes, I know.
I know this is a safe space. We love each other. We're just going to keep
We're
repeating
listening,
that.
we're hearing.
Well, shit. What was I saying?
You were talking about like analyzing their behaviors and the shit that they pull.
Right. And so that's a challenge that we've faced. But between you and I, we've had some shift of energies and we've had conversations about some of the fears because we have real daily conversations similar to one of our kids' meltdowns. We have daily conversations of like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm really scared.
Yeah.
And can you just like talk through a little bit what your fear, what your scaredness has been for you stepping into a role of being the breadwinner, the sole income?
Yeah. I have to go back a little bit before the fear that I had, even before I can get to that one. And that was the transfer of domestic management in the house and if it was going to get done and how to talk to you about that. That's where our original conflicts began, was the transfer and you showing up completely unprepared without a pen and paper. And for any other mom out there who knows about things like emotional labor and invisible labor, he shows up without a fucking pen or a paper. He's like dying laughing over here because he knows it's bullshit now because you've been doing it for 3 weeks. You know there's so much to it.
It was day fucking one, woman. It was day fucking one. And yeah, I might have not started off great. I was like, yeah, I'll just remember it.
It's like poetry though. It's just the truest of true, where it's just been so interesting, like watching you take on this heavy role that a lot of people don't realize how big of a role it is to be like the shit show manager.
Yeah, I want to get into that in just a minute, but I don't want you to deflect as much. That was definitely some of our early issues, but as we kind of worked through me getting through some of these tasks and understanding what it looks like, I want to hear still what you have been scared of, because we've had these conversations. And
yeah, I mean, I think that my belief in you to manage has never really been a core fear. I think that it has been more so, are the kids going to eat us alive? Like, how do we manage so many kids with so many needs and also breathe life into our relationship and have time to do things together and build happy memories and just laugh? Like, I think that at the end of the day, really trying to figure out how we're going to balance the amount of like meeting their needs and then meeting our needs and everything not falling apart in the middle. Like that feels like the truest, biggest fear overall that I have.
We had so many at the very end of the night conversations.
Yeah.
We don't really put the fifth one in bed. He kind of does that himself.
Yeah.
But after getting the core four, as we've usually referred to them, and it's a whole ordeal, which leaves us just exhausted. And many times it's went from school, pickup, drop off, finishing your workday, straight into like needing to get dinner going. And then by that time, it's almost essentially bedtime.
Yeah.
And we start that process. And we don't have young kids like toddlers and babies that need baths and have these like nightly routines that you have to do that are like labor intensive. It's about getting them into a space, A, their room space, but also B, getting them into a mental space where they can even think about turning the engines down a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And we have some really high energy folks.
Mm-hmm. Lots of ADHD in our house.
Whole ordeal, as I said, sometimes leads us into 9:30, 9:45, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And we're sitting and kind of finally catching up.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some really tense and emotional. And just frankly, if we could find ways to have them at not that time of night, kind of conversations would have a lot less levity at a different time that we could work through a lot easier.
I've had 3 and you've had 3, and the magnitude that is differential when you have 5 is real. Like, it is just real, especially when we have our sixth. I mean, like nothing else exists other than like parenting. It was overwhelming when I had three. It is significantly more overwhelming and pushes on just natural capacity with five that I haven't experienced yet. And I know you definitely haven't. Because, backstory, I was essentially a single mom for 5 years before I met you, James. Well, for listeners. And you weren't even a full year of being a single parent. And there's a difference for you that is like not understanding the full intensity of that. I think that I've already felt, but then you add in more volume, more kids, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't know if I even exist. Like, am I a person or am I just a servant to these kids at this point?
For me, the bigger thing to accept and work through hasn't been being a single parent. Mm-hmm. Being a single dad versus a single mom in some traditional senses are quite different. And to be honest, a lot of times there's not a father figure in a lot of kids' lives. So just traditionally, it's like been a mother's thing. Mm-hmm. The harder part has been understanding that something I had no experience with. I have had some real fucking revelations in the last few weeks that have been humbling, have been like, oh, damn, okay. And honestly, it's been a lot, but it's been something that I feel like I'm leaning into.
You definitely are.
We have some of these talks, I'm like, I'll say something, but I also, as fast as I fucking can, like after that last sentence is saying, I know you've already done this as a single mom. Like, please, this is my emotion. I need you to help me with this.
I know. It's so hard, but I know every mom out there is just like, yeah, right? Like, it's a lot. Carrying the weight of all of those responsibilities is complicated, but as a recovering perfectionist and a workaholic, I will tell you that a lot of my challenge has been not about trusting you to handle it. You handle things. That's, again, one of the things I love about you is that you take responsibility and you do the things that you know you need to do. It has been, for me, not being able to be available to be the nurturing mom that goes against my like inner compass and trusting you to become that nurturing, like present caregiver. That's the hard thing. Again, when we go back to our son that was crying and scratching at the door, it was like murdering me. It still makes me want to cry because I have always been the one that had to be emotionally available because my ex doesn't even know what emotional availability means. And if I, even tried to explain it, he'd find some way to deflect and dismiss. But my point is that role within me that is that, traditional mom that makes the dinner and answers the questions and is there for the emotional work, handing a lot of that off to you has felt really fucking weird and destabilizing.
I can't imagine, because I'm not a mom, how that feels, but I would love to just offer a little spin on that.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because as unstable, oh my God.
Mabelist unstable. Oh man, and you said that drink wasn't doing anything.
Right.
It's so funny.
Whoops. Maybe as unsettling as it is for you, in ways, having me take this role on with 6 sons who we're trying to raise to be human beings,
functional
but
adults.
Actual functional fucking adults.
Yeah.
Who also will know how to do household chores, will know how to do things and see that a gender role doesn't really exist. There's not some like, we've got to fight this innate, like, oh, it's a woman's job.
Yeah.
But I am teaching our sons right now hands-on experience. As I'm getting hands-on experience, I'm like the guinea pig for all of our boys. But in some way, it's got to also be really empowering for you to see that we are trying to actually put into some practice what it's like to raise young men, what it will be like to be a man in adulthood, what that looks like responsibility wise.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that perspective because I didn't even think about that, to be honest. To reference the idea that my man is teaching our boys how to break from traditional gender roles by being a upfront example of carrying a role that has been largely associated to the big quotation marks woman in the relationship, that you are like actually demonstrating that. Because they say all the time that like you can say whatever you want, but they're going to follow your actions. They're going to follow the things that you do. If you put that in that perspective, that is actually very empowering to consider.
Our sons are asking things like, where do things go? Or can I get this? Can you get me this? And there seems to me that sometimes there's a difference of response.
Yeah.
When you would ask them to do something like that versus maybe my approach.
Oh, no, there's almost a very 100% clear difference in the response every time.
I'm kind of just like very forthright. And I'm like, you can do this on your own. Sometimes it's like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah, you are a dad of all these boys. We have to function like a fucking squadron. Like we have to be the generals that are commanding these commands, etc.
But therein lies one of our next problems that you've also referenced, but it's like this utilitarian aspect of our weeks.
Yes. That is definitely something.
Where that causes you to kind of feel like you lose some of the femininity and feminine energy around here. And it's also causing us not to have a lot of time where we're making deposits into our relationship because we're constantly being soul sucked and resource sucked by all of the kids all of the time.
Yeah. You started the beginning by naming your fears, and I did name the fear, but that one you just brought up is like the big center point of it. Is my fear is that as a mom surrounded by so many boys, so much testosterone, even our cats are boys, that I'm just like, I'm drowning in masculinity. So I'm already afraid that I'm going to lose my like femininity. It's a good thing I teach predominantly female identified folks, because if I was around dudes all the time every day, I don't know where I'd find the will to live. But
and I don't know where I'd find the will to want to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah, it's
if
too
I'm just
much.
being real, because that is not who I fell in love with.
Yeah.
One of my fears going from the person who's always provided was handing the keys. The trust, I guess, if you want to name the actual feeling that you are going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
That you are going to handle that stuff. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
But I also trust you with my life, and I trust you with the lives of our kids. You are successful, you are driven, and that was the energy that we need right now for our shared vision of where we want to be.
Yeah.
As we continue to refine your business, as we look at joint ventures, kind of business opportunities, and as we look at what our household looks like and how it's managed and where it's going to go moving forward, there's just a lot of trust that needs to happen. And I think that's probably one of our big key words for this experience that we're going through right now is trust. And it's so funny because our kids will be like, trust.
Oh, yeah, I know. I actually like that one, though.
I do kind of like it, too, because I'm actually like, I was a big fan of trust the process. So anybody who's like a sports fan, it's like the Philadelphia, I think it was 76ers manager was like, just trust the process. Like, yeah, we sucked this year, we sucked last year, but we're building these assets, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Trust just like cuts the process because it's just like implied.
Yeah.
So I'm actually a fan of trust as well.
Yeah.
You got to say it with the right swag, like trust.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be succinct.
Trust.
Right. Right. It can't be that.
It's got to have like I love the way that one of our younger ones says it. He's like, trust, Mom, trust. You know which one that is.
Oh, I do.
And he's so good at it. I'm
do.
like, it's adorable. I kind of really need to trust you because of the way you said that. But anyways, there is a very important thing to note for listeners that aren't just listening to our process here, our discussion, but that is to kind of pull away as for yourself and how you apply this, that like as a person that has been in a lot of relationships, like James was in a very conservative background, only had very few long-term relationships compared to me, that it is really important to trust your partner to actually have a safe and stable long-term relationship, because I look at it now and I recognize that I did not trust any of my partners before. That's why I took on that role. If you're a listener, it's really important that you trust your partner in order to be able to make these kinds of decisions, because we have a really strong communication game and trust, obviously, but this transition has been difficult even for us.
It has been a big challenge, but for me personally, I'm thankful for this challenge because it's a challenge that we're working through together. And when conflict arises through this, it's because it's between you and I.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with any exterior person, relationship, dynamic. It's between us.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is absolutely going to need to be a 2-part episode here. Mm-hmm. We're going to continue on in the next episode about talking through this seismic shift of dynamics in the house from a spiritual side, from a leadership side, from a domestic side, from a financial side. But I kind of just want to end on a little bit of a rant, if I can. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it, babe.
I want to talk to men right now, to the husbands,
boyfriends,
partners. As I said earlier, I come from, I'm providing financially, so I'm doing my share.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Men, that kind of thinking is making you not a man. That kind of thinking is holding back your relationship with your partner. And that kind of thinking is what's going to breed some truly toxic traits in the sons that you have right now. If you are refusing to do chores, if you're refusing to take on tasks that feel domestic, I'm talking cleaning bathrooms, I'm talking mopping floors, I'm talking laundry, I'm talking all of this. Men, do your fucking part. If you ever feel like, I appreciate what my wife or my girlfriend or what my partner does, they happen to do a lot around the house, and it's just our house wouldn't run without them. Then if it wouldn't run without them, they need some downtime too. They need some downtime too. And if they're constantly doing everything, and in these few weeks, I'm learning just what that really means. And I was fucking wrong. I was wrong. I was the guy that said, I appreciate that. I would have those conversations that what you're doing around the house, like the childcare that we'd be paying for, that's a job in and of itself. I didn't know fucking shit. Those words were empty. They were so fucking empty, emptier than calories from a soda beverage. So men, you need to back that shit up with some actions. Step up and do some things around the house.
That's called invisible labor. It's a whole thing. You can even look up hashtag invisible labor. And it's actually a lot of men just like you that step in these roles that are holy shit, I had no idea that this was a 40, not even including the weekend hours job that never stops.
It's at least 16 hours a day, but as we find out, it's overnight hours too, because it's literally 24, however many days they're there with you.
Yep.
Moms out there or people that were in the domestic sense, I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of myself and of men, and I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that we have at least 5 or 6 more men in the world in a few years that go into adulthood knowing the actual facts. So just trust, all right? Trust.
I'm not necessarily spending 16 hours a day doing domestic things like you've taken on. Now I'm just constantly worried about finances. So it's taking up, rent-free space in my mind that I I'm not doing the physical labor, but there's still emotional, mental labor around it.
And that's exactly where I want to start in the next episode.
Okay.
Because it's a conversation that's I have a lot of questions on, and I have a lot of like things that I want to hear from your perspective about that, because I will say from my side, some of those things will have included like, okay, she's still in work mode, you know, things like that. And so that's where we're going to start next episode, because there's so much there that I think it really is required to have a lot more time than what we have today.
Thank you guys so much for coming to episode 7 of Joint Discussions. Make sure you check us out on all socials at Joint Discussions Pod. And make sure that you make your way over to our new Patreon community, where we're talking about episodes and people are asking questions as we begin to move towards more discussion-based with our audience kind of episodes in the future. We're so excited that we get to call you a part of our podcast fam at this point, and we can't wait to see you next week. Until then, ciao.